Hey, everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co host, and partner in all things crime, Katie Weaver. Hey, Katie,
Hello.
how's it going?
Oh, it's going for sure. We had lunch today with Aunt Sue. That was wonderful.
We did. I brought my super special cup she gave me for Christmas. Now, before I turn it on, this
hmm
is flashing red lights. So if that's not something that you want to look at, please look away. But if it is, check it out.
That's awesome. Looks even better on camera.
Doesn't
Wish
it?
I would
Isn't
have
that
thought to
wild?
grab mine. Yeah.
So it has some of my most favorite peanut butter whiskey, screwball peanut butter whiskey in here with some cream soda, all from Aunt Sue. So thanks, Aunt Sue.
Excellent. Yeah. The girl
It's
gave
a
us,
rockin' party.
yeah,
Look at that.
fancy cups, our favorite liquors and mixers for Christmas. What a sweetheart.
Could it get any better than that?
Right? That was pretty cool. Yeah.
It really was. And I had to share this because it's so funny. It actually has like Santa Claus on it, but I mean, is
Yeah.
Santa getting arrested right now, maybe?
Oh,
Kind of seems like
well, I
it.
mean, that's a
It's
good
kind of
point. That
perfect for a true crime show.
it does kind of seem like that. Yeah.
It also runs for a long time. It just sort of stops on its own, but it takes a while.
Yes, I noticed that. I had forgotten to upload a
Oh,
picture I
here.
wanted to share because I finally completed a stained glass project.
Did you? Does Aunt
Uh,
Sue need another niece, right?
it went to Aunt Sue for Christmas, but I'm going to show you
Oh,
guys a
yes, it
picture
did.
because it's kind of fun. But I should have uploaded this a minute ago and forgot all about it. So,
Christy wants to know if Aunt Sue needs another niece. I don't know if she's hiring for nieces right now,
she,
uh, but
you're
but
pretty
we're
cool,
pretty
so I
lucky,
think you'd qualify. Yeah, our Aunt
right?
Sue is
Right?
amazing. Yeah.
She is. Oh yeah, this was so pretty.
So it's an angel, and the skirt is made from a vintage saucer that I bought at a thrift store in Boise for this purpose. And yeah, I'm so excited about how it turned out. So yeah, it's still
That's really
remedial,
pretty.
but it's really cute. I love the fashion. I love the fashion. The fashion of her skirt. It's really
Right?
fashionable.
It's really pretty. I love it with the plate. That's neat.
It turned out cute, and the wings you can't really tell, but they're really iridescent. They're really pretty. Like on a Christmas tree in
Hmm.
a light, they'll shine really pretty. So
Oh yes, they
yeah,
will.
felt good to finally successfully complete a stained glass project. So yeah, that's kind of fun.
Oh, nice. Did you know that Jacqueline does stained glass? She said she's
I did
making a new
not.
ornaments. That
Wow.
is so cool. Well, congrats on getting your first projects out. That's really neat.
Well, then don't
Love
look
it.
too close at that one, Jacqueline. But but those are the best cuts I have done. I'll tell you that.
They're great. Um, Amanda says I am not good at that. Nor am I, Amanda.
It's hard. The cutting the
Oh,
glass.
that's really good insight to see that and think how good it will look, right? That is a skill. That is a skill.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh, she said it's a nice, simple piece. Very nice. Thank you, Jacqueline. I appreciate that.
Hmm. Very
I have to
pretty.
admit, I didn't do the solder. Scott did. I did everything else, but he soldered. So
I mean,
I
I
have to
don't
give him
even
those
think you have to
flowers.
admit that, but yeah.
I do use a self-oiling cutter, and I also have a saw, a ring saw, and it wasn't working very well. And then we just replaced all of the innards and the ring because I bought it used, and now it's just chopping through glass like nobody's business. So I might be better at this
Wow.
now. Now that I have better
That's
tools.
very exciting. I can't wait to see
Yeah,
more things.
me too.
Well, it is Wednesday night. This is Wednesday night case updates, but
Mm-hmm.
quick announcement before, right after case updates is our yes, watch party. Oh my God. I think I may have sucked up a little too much whiskey in this straw.
I think you maybe did. You know, you're not supposed to drink alcohol out of a straw. Just a
I, you
note.
know, I'm learning why. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about what are we doing for watch party tonight?
So this is Crime Scene, the Times Square Killer. We're going to watch episode 1, Murder on 42nd Street. This is a little bit older documentary. None of the brand new ones really sung to me. And
Mm,
because quite frankly, I'm just not doing the John Bonet one. I'm just not.
no,
I'm just not.
no,
So
not doing it.
yeah, I mean, go watch it, if you want, and no shade anywhere. I'm just not doing it. It's been done to death, and
Yeah.
that was a horrible choice of words, but anyway, not doing it. So this is what we're doing. We're going to go a little older. Just, maybe it's something you haven't seen, maybe it is, but this one looked very interesting to me. And so I think we're going to enjoy it. So the way the watch party works, of course, is you have to be a member over at Buy Me a Coffee. There's a spot to join our membership there. It is a whopping $2 a month. So,
Mm-hmm.
even at Christmas time, we feel like it won't break the bank too much. And you'll get an email with the link for the stream. So, of course, this is what you'll see on your screen is this right here. Because we can't stream it, of course, since that would be illegal. But we have the
Mm-hmm.
chat open. So we'll chat with you. So we'll all chat together while we watch it on our own devices. That's how it works.
Yes, it is. And it is a lot of fun because it's fun to watch true crime. We're all doing
Hmm.
it anyway. We may as
Right.
well be doing it as a group,
Yeah,
right?
it's fun to watch it together.
Yes, it is. So we'll be
Yes.
doing that right after the show. But you know what? Let's get started because, Katie, there are some updates in the Suzanne Simpson. Uh, well, can we call it a murder? We're going to call it a murder.
We're definitely calling it a murder now. I mean, people have been charged with
Yeah,
murder, so we really
yeah,
can. But, oh, good. Jamie said John Bonet was really good. Good. I'm glad it was, and I do hope they solve John Bonet just as a true crimer. It's one case that
tired of it.
I'm going to let everyone else do. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so in Suzanne Simpson, we know that her husband Brad has already been charged with her murder, but there has been no recovery of a body. And so the news broke late last week that authorities are now saying that her DNA has been found on a metal chopping saw that belongs to Brad.
Oh, when
Yeah,
I heard that was in the warrant that they got a saw in the or the yeah in the anyway,
yeah.
when I heard that, I went, oh no,
Hmm.
that is horrible news.
Yes. It is horrible news. His indictments are two first degree felonies, murder and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon causing serious bodily harm. Oh, good Lord, serious bodily injury to a family member. He easily will be facing life in prison, but
Yeah,
that's a pretty big piece of evidence right there.
it really is, and it's really
Hmm.
sad because that gives us a
Oh, it's
pretty
a
ter
reciprocating saw. Oh,
uh,
okay.
it's giving us a pretty terrifying picture into what went down on her last
So,
day.
so the article, Tom, in the first part of it, it said it was a saw that cuts metal. It's actually a reciprocating saw, which could cut metal, but they should have just said that. So a reciprocating saw, if you don't know very much about saws, why would you? Uh, it's more of it's the kind of a saw that is like handheld that has a long thing. It's not a chainsaw, but it's kind of similar to that. So it's one that my husband has used a lot for various things. And anyway, that makes sense to me. So if you were thinking more like a table saw or something like that, no, we're talking about like a handheld saw, an electric saw probably, or a gas powered one. But at any rate, that would do the job. That's all. That would definitely do the job.
It really really would, and that's just awful.
Yeah.
It, but there's more, right?
There's more. This is the Suzanne Simpson case, Jane. So the other piece of it is that there has been now an official indictment for James Cotter. So James Cotter, if you'll remember, is the best friend and longtime business partner of Brad Simpson, and he was indicted because when Brad was knew the walls were closing in, he asked, or when James knew, no, when Brad Simpson knew the walls were closing in on him, he reached out to his business partner and essentially asked him to potentially destroy some evidence. He asked him to hide a gun. Apparently, he had an AK 47 at his home that had been altered in an illegal way. and he asked him to come and get that and hide it, which he did do. And people have been really perplexed about the James Cotter thing because they felt like, does James know more than he's saying? Does James know where Suzanne's body is? Like,
Right.
what does James
What else
know?
does he know?
So here's the indictment. The indictment is on charges of tampering with evidence and the intent to impair an investigation and possession of prohibited weapons. So that definitely makes you wonder, like, what guns? What guns did he move again? Did this have anything to do with what was done to Suzanne? What's the
Right.
tampering with evidence charge? Because that wasn't a part of his original charges. So
Yeah.
I found that to be pretty interesting. But at any rate, so yeah, now he's those are the charges. He posted bond on November 8th. Initially, his bond was 1 million. It was reduced to 100,000, and he bonded out. So of course, he can't have contact with Brad Simpson. He can't possess a firearm, and it looked like both of them had large safes full of guns. They both had a lot of firearms. He's also, of course, having to wear a GPS monitor and be accountable for where he's at. But again, people still really wonder, like, what all does this dude know?
Yeah. What all does he know?
So part of the challenge right now is that a gag order has now been laid down on this case. So we might not hear as much as we would like to, until this goes to trial. But that's what's going on with Suzanne's case. I've been looking and waiting and wondering because it's been pretty quiet here for the last few weeks. And
It has.
where is Suzanne? Now her
Where is
four
Susan?
children are facing Christmas, and her family facing Christmas in the wake of her murder. I just wish they could get at least some closure
Well,
here.
in his family too. I mean, my
Yeah,
God,
all of them.
how devastating.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because his family they've absolutely backed Suzanne and the kids.
Yeah, they have. They have.
So,
Well,
very
I
sad
mean,
case.
I'm glad they're making progress in it, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he needs to give up the location of her body.
Yep.
That's got to happen.
What a
Yeah,
monster to
it
do
has.
this to his children.
Right?
I mean, his wife, too,
Absolutely.
obviously, but his children. He killed their mom. He has concealed her body. And yes, he is guilty, or he's not guilty, until he's innocent until proven guilty. There's a lot, there's a lot of evidence against him.
There is.
So,
Awful. Okay. Well, thank you.
yeah.
I did want to give an update in a case I covered here on the show yesterday or Monday. I can't remember. Anyway, it is the triple homicide out of Columbus, Ohio that we were talking about. That was in and of itself horrifying and scary. But then we find out that a man who lived in that house, had also been murdered a few days prior to the murder of these three women. So there are a few updates. One is that the police held a briefing yesterday to dispel rumors that this was a serial killer in action. Now, I will say that I never thought it was a serial killer at all because that's not what serial killers do.
Right. All killed
Um,
in the same place? That's not a serial killer.
right, all killed in the same place and all, connected to one another in some way. That would not even be classified as a serial killer. But there were a lot of rumors running around in Columbus because people are scared.
Yeah.
They say that they are seeking, at one point, they say several suspects, and then they say one other suspect. So, if you recall, the man that was killed a few days prior to these three women, um, a man who they believe to be that murderer, was arrested on the same day that these women's bodies were found. So, what the police are saying now is that these murders of Sierra Muse, Dawn Clover, and Tiffany Parrish are in fact related to the other murder of Daryl Hambrick. Now, we kind of all went, well, yeah, duh, but they do now believe it is connected, and that they do have one suspect in custody, and that they are seeking one more suspect in this particular case. So it
Oh,
may be that the man that they have already arrested was only part of this scheme. They do believe this was also a drug-related murder. If you remember, the neighbors said that this house was really problematic and that people were really worried about what was going on there. So
hmm,
we know a little bit more now, and we know that at least they've got one of their suspects in custody, and they are seeking one more. So it sounds like they're getting a pretty clear picture now of what has occurred.
good.
Yeah. And that's right, Kathy. Ted Bundy did kill multiple people in one incident. The
Hmm.
thing with this situation is that it would like this would not have been classified as a serial killer, even if it is the same person that killed all four people, just because of the way
Because
that
they're
it
not
went
separate,
down.
you're right. Because there's
Yeah,
not more other incidences.
yeah, more other incidents. Yeah, yeah,
Because
exactly.
that incident would have counted as one incident, even though there were multiple
Right.
bodies.
Yeah, because there's a way that the FBI determines if someone is a serial killer or not. There's a
Yeah.
formula, sort of. And with that, Katie, let's hear about what's going on with not friend of the show, Nick Rossi.
Oh, good Lord. Well, he had court on Tuesday, yesterday. I guess who refused to show to court again? He started this whole
Was it Arthur
routine.
Knight?
Mm. Ever since he finally admitted that he's Nicholas Alibertian Rossi, he has refused to come to court. And the judge is over it. So, what happened yesterday is that the state and Rossi's attorney agree that they are very near a plea agreement. So, the defense said, we, in conversations with the state, are very close to a decision as to whether or not the defendant is going to be accepting the state's offer. So, this is what he's telling the judge. Um, so, the judge asked the state if he thinks that this is something that could fly. They've actually kind of already missed the window to accept it from the agreement that they had. And they said, you know what, we're going to extend this window. We're going to give him till after Christmas. We'll come back here in January and he can let us know. So the state says he thinks that they have a deal and that this will likely put this matter to rest, but they have to wait until January. The judge said that he was very unhappy about Rossi not attending and said, do I need to authorize use of force to get him to come? I can't take his plea if he's not going to show up. And his attorney promises the judge that yes, he is absolutely going to be here on January 7th. I'll believe it when I see it. And at
Yeah.
that time, they will let the judge know what their decision is. So the trial is supposed to be in April. So it's coming up. But I suspect he's going to just take the plea deal. And then I think that his other rape charges, also in Utah, in a different county, will also go the same route. I'm really thinking this is never going to see trial, but that's where it's at right
I
now.
mean, he's got charges to face in other states and
Hmm.
in another country.
Yeah,
So he may as
this is
well.
just the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, how do you get away with not showing up for court, especially when you're incarcerated? You just refuse to go. You refuse to be transported, and unless they're authorized to use force to make you go, you're probably just not going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The judge can order that when you've seen people like
Hmm.
strapped into a wheelchair with a spit hood
Hmm.
on, that's
Well, how
somebody that's being
convenient.
forced to attend. He's already in a wheelchair, guys. Wouldn't take
Nick,
much.
get your stupid ass to court. Good
Oh
Lord.
my God.
He didn't
Right?
think he needed to come.
Oh, didn't he now?
Bitch, you always, if they're trying to transport you, that means you need to come. Like,
Hmm.
that argument doesn't fly at all. But
But that
that's.
attitude of, well, this isn't
Hmm.
that important to me kind of
Hmm.
shit. Ugh.
I don't need to do this. This is so typical of his bullshit entitlement. I was just watching some clips, rewatching some clips the other day from that interview that they did with him on the news where he, was doing the fake crying in the oxygen mask and tried to stand up and fell down and all of that shit.
Yes.
And
Oh
the
my God.
response of the reporter, she actually covered her mouth at one point because she was clearly laughing.
Yeah.
And, uh, all of that swearing that he's an orphan from Ireland and all that shit. Yeah. And of course, we all knew he was lying then. We double dog know he was lying now. But it
Hmm.
still kills me that he actually went on the national news and acted like that.
Well, and not only did that, but his dumbass wife sat next to him and pretended all along when
Hmm.
she knew
Right.
that that
That
is not who
bee
he was.
was defrauding everybody as well. It's pretty
Holy
wild
shit.
that she was honestly harboring a fugitive and doing all the lions and is looks to me like just going to get away with it. But yeah, holy
Yeah.
moly. Right? Must be a pretty cozy jail. I don't know how they take care of their inmates in Salt Lake City, but it must be okay because he doesn't want to leave.
I guess so. Paula says, but if I don't show up to court, the charges will be dropped, right?
Right.
Only in his wildest dreams, I think.
I mean, Sarah thought she could just keep jumping attorneys and she would apparently never be held to account. Nick thinks he can just not show up to court and maybe all will
Right?
be well.
I mean, hell, Utah's going to get done with him and then they're going to extradite him to somewhere else where he committed a crime and put him on trial for that one.
Yeah.
Like, avoiding this does nothing. It's never going away, Nick. It's
Nope.
never going away.
Never upon ever.
No,
Yeah. I mean, the
you
fact that they
hideous
pursued him
jackass.
clear across the pond and managed to extradite him and bring him back here, I think that's evidence enough.
Yeah, yeah. This
Now,
is
I
not
kind of
going away.
really, I hope, this is what I hope. I hope that on either of these cases, if he does plead, that it is something that is good for the victim. That's all. That's
Right?
all I care about at this point.
He
That it's,
needs to be considered a sex offender.
yes, he has to be.
If this gets
Yeah.
played down to not sex offenses, I'm going to be pissed.
Hmm. He needs to be considered a sex offender, and these need to be plea agreements that the victims are both comfortable with and that they
Yeah.
are good for them. That's at this point, that's all I really care. I would love to see this go to trial just for the entertainment value, except for that this is about the victims at this point, and they're not our entertainment. These are women that
No.
were raped by him, and that's who we got
Yeah.
to think about.
And
Yeah,
pleas can be good for them as long as he is genuinely held
yeah,
to account for what he's done. Because that's just,
absolutely.
I hate plea deals in rape cases because so often they get pled to nothing. So it's better
Yes,
not. Listen, Utah, don't do it.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. If
All right.
anybody'd pull that
Well,
shit, it would be Utah. Except for that, these prosecutors are a little pissed off at him. He went after them. He
yeah.
went after the one's wife. He spread a lot of wild rumors about them on Twitter. I don't know that they're feeling terribly generous towards him.
I think they're pretty done with him, and I hope
Hmm.
that that is the case. Because yeah, don't let him
Indeed.
get away with anything here.
Yeah. Fudge those guys. Okay, go ahead.
I'll just say, fuck those guys. Yeah. Speaking of fuck those guys, listen to this crazy shit, okay? Ellen Greenberg. Y'all remember the case of Ellen Greenberg? She is the woman whose death in 2011 was ruled a suicide. Remember, she's the one with more than 20 stab wounds, some of them in her neck and the back of her head.
Yeah.
And this situation was botched so terribly by the police. And we know that Ellen's
Hmm.
parents, Joshua and Sandy Greenberg, they've been petitioning the courts for years to try to get another look at her case. There's been a new evaluation of her autopsy.
Hmm.
Um, well, guess who has come crawling out of his hole?
Yeah.
Ellen's fiance, Sam Goldberg.
Who's been just completely silent through all of this.
Yes. He has come forward in an emailed statement to CNN to say that he believes that her death was a result of mental illness.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Guys, he is supporting the suicide claim.
You bet he is.
He's the one who found her, if you remember. This was botched from the beginning. The crime scene was cleaned up before the police arrived. There were no fingerprints taken from the knife. Like, there was a lot of crap that went on that was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He said, when Ellen took her own life, it left me bewildered. She was a wonderful and a kind person who had everything to live for. When she died, a part of me died with her. Dude, seriously. He said, unimaginably, in the years that have passed, I have had to endure the unimaginable passing of my future wife and the pathetic and despicable attempts to desecrate my reputation and her privacy by creating a narrative that embraces lies, distortions, and falsehoods in order to avoid the truth. Mental illness is very real and has many victims. I'm sorry if you can hear my eyes rolling.
Yeah.
It just, oi, makes
You're
me
telling
feel
me
sick
that
that
she did
he,
all of those stabbings to herself, including burying a butcher knife in her breastbone,
yeah,
and
that
all
she
of the
just did
stab
that
wounds to the
herself.
back of her head and neck, nearly
Yeah,
completely severing her spinal
spinal
column, her
cord.
spinal cord,
Yeah.
that she did all of that by himself or by herself because of mental illness. She also chopped up a fruit salad and had it was like cooking dinner, making food,
Hmm.
and just suddenly went, you know what? Maybe I'll just turn these knives on myself. Yeah,
Right?
none of it tracks. None of it.
None of it at all. And it's just gross. I mean,
It's way gross.
and we don't know who killed Ellen Greenberg.
No, we're
Well,
not saying he
I'll
did,
tell you
but we
who
are
we know
saying that
didn't kill
someone
Ellen
did.
Greenberg, and that was Ellen Greenberg.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the new evaluation of her autopsy and of her wounds and stuff has indicated that there is no way that she could have done those things to herself.
Yeah,
That several of those wounds occurred after she had died.
yeah,
So you stab yourself to death and then you keep stabbing yourself after you're dead?
yeah, yeah.
That is not possible. So this was gross. It's really sad to me that her poor parents have been fighting for years for this, and this is what the fiance who found her body comes forward with. Like,
Yep.
what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Boy. So anyway, that just made me feel sick,
Mm-hmm.
frankly. Just sad.
Right. The MA also changed the manner of death. Initially, it was homicide, and then
Right.
within what, 24 hours, they changed it
Yeah.
to suicide? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because initially, when they looked at her body, they knew
Yeah.
she didn't do that to herself.
This case will never, ever, ever be okay. Ever.
It won't. It won't. And that's so sad. That's so sad for Ellen's family.
Mm-hmm.
And for Ellen herself. I mean,
Yeah.
she deserves justice here. And this is not it.
And here's the thing. Yes, mental illness is real, and yes, suicides happen. And we're not dragging on that at all. But the evidence does not support a suicide, which means that someone killed her and got away with it.
Yeah,
And that's the problem.
right. Right, Amy, multiple fatal wounds. So I guess she died and kept killing herself. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole thing is nonsensical.
Mm-hmm.
And to think that the police and everyone involved in that investigation stood by this,
But there
it's
was no
insanity.
investigation. That's the problem.
There really wasn't.
In my opinion, that's exactly what the problem is here. They were so quick to want to rule this a suicide and be done with it that they didn't really do an investigation. And most of the
No.
evidence was lost really damn fast.
Yeah.
And because the police did not handle this correctly in the beginning, here we are. To me,
No.
that's just the crux of it. And they don't want to see this turned back into a homicide because they have nothing to show for themselves as far as
Right.
investigating it. Any evidence gathered, they didn't.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. They didn't do it,
No.
and now
And there's lots of theories why, and some of it is conspiratorial and stuff, but yeah. Right, the front door was locked and the boyfriend supposedly said he had to break in, but there was no damage. Yeah.
right, just none of it
None
tracks.
of it makes any
And for all
sense.
this time, for 13 years, 14, 13 years now,
Hmm.
people, her poor parents are like, this makes no sense at all. This is
Right.
nonsensical. The system has got to look at this, and yet this is the kind of shit that they get back.
Yep.
Not cool. Not
No,
cool at all.
it's not. It's not cool at all that this keeps happening.
Right.
That it has become an easy dustbin to deem deaths homicides or suicides that are homicides. We
Right.
have
I
covered
mean,
many cases where that happened and where
yeah,
families had to fight really hard on that.
yeah,
We've talked about this before, but it happened in our own family in Boise.
yeah. Good.
About 10 years ago, a cousin of ours was shot in the stomach. There was no GSR on his hands. He was also shot with a long rifle in the stomach, and there was no GSR on his hands. He was also not suicidal, definitely not, and was having a fight with his ex when supposedly he just somehow whipped a rifle out that he didn't own. He didn't have any guns, and flipped it around and shot himself in the stomach with it and sat in her apartment and died. And
Didn't
it didn't
happen.
make any sense.
That
And
did not happen.
it didn't
No.
happen. But he didn't have Ellen Greenberg's parents. He didn't have parents that pursued it at all. His parents are addicts and hot messes themselves. His dad died not too long after he did from addiction. And I will never believe that that was actually a suicide because it wasn't. But
It wasn't.
he was a felon, he was a problem, and I think that it was so easy for the police to just go, yeah, suicide, let's go,
Yeah. But
because they didn't care.
the the details of that crime do not, they
No,
don't track.
they don't track at all. Yeah. We had one cousin in Boise that tried to talk to a detective and kind of tried to feel it out a little bit because we were all going, this doesn't make any sense. And he just got shut down in a fat hurry and just went, yeah, I'm out. I've got nothing. So there you go. That's what happened.
It'll never be solved.
No.
Whoever shot him has gotten away with it.
Well, she
And that
died.
sucks.
She died about a year later. She
Well,
died.
yeah.
So,
Right. But I'm saying, like,
well, and
whether
maybe
it
it
was
wasn't
her
her.
or someone
Yeah.
else, but yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. She took the truth of what happened to him with her because she
Absolutely.
knew.
She was the
She
only other
definitely
person
knew.
there, supposedly.
Hmm.
And this, she called the police. She told them this is what happened. They took that at her word and slapped a suicide on it, and it was over. This happens all the time.
It does. And it's fucked up.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, all the love again to Ellen Greenberg's parents,
Yeah.
and a hope that eventually somebody will be honest for one fucking second about
Yep.
this.
Yep.
But who knows? Katie, you have some more for us. You've got, tell us about Toforest Johnson.
Well, believe it or not, we have another death row inmate that is fighting for his life that has the real sus case.
Why
So
am I
this is,
not surprised by this?
yep, this is a black man. No big surprise there either. In Alabama, named Toforest Johnson, and there is a push right now to get a new hearing on his death sentence because of concerns that have been raised by guess who? The local district attorney, who has looked through his case and gone, oh no, there are Brady violations here. And not all of the evidence was shown, and this is not
Of course
good.
not. How many times have we seen
How
this
many
shit?
times? So he was convicted in 1998 of the 1995 murder of an off-duty Jefferson County deputy, William Hardy. Hardy was moonlighting as a security guard at a hotel. Johnson has always maintained his innocence. He has always had a very strong alibi. He's had many people sign affidavits and testify in court that they were with him that night on the other side of town. There's no physical
Oh,
evidence that links him to the crime. And two of the witnesses that were critical in his conviction have been called into question. One of them because she, this is the weirdest story, but this lady who testified against him and said that she heard him on a jail call say that he shot him. He was already arrested for something else. And heard Toforest Johnson on a jail call say that he shot the security guard.
was
How
she
did
on the
this
phone with
happen?
him?
Okay. She says that her daughter, her 16-year-old daughter, would do three-way calls for inmates so that they wouldn't have to pay more than one tellmate. Or it's not tellmate, it wasn't tellmate then, but one charge.
Mm-hmm.
And so her daughter would get on the phone with one inmate, and then she would three-way call somebody else in, and then she'd put the phone down and walk away and let them have a conversation, supposedly. And she says she just picked up the phone because she needed to use the phone and didn't realize that her daughter had done that and just happened to listen in on this conversation. So that's what she testified in court. What she didn't testify in court is that the prosecution gave her $5,000 to do so.
Oh my God. And they can
Mm-hmm.
prove that?
Mm-hmm.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
And how can they prove that? Because that's what the new DA is saying.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
They paid her?
And yeah, it like a finder's fee kind of, a reward for helping to solve this crime. The problem is
Uh,
there's right, wouldn't they have the jail call recording? Apparently they did not. This was fully based on what she said in court. Another witness who claimed to have seen him also turned out to be sus. So the DA is saying we need to give this guy a new trial. We've got him on death row, and there's a lot of evidence that is it's clear that he didn't commit this crime, and we need to give him a new trial. So that's what they're pushing for right now. But yet again, another death row inmate with a very sus case.
that is terrifying.
Yep.
And my God, if they can prove that payment?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. His attorney said the evidence in this case has unraveled over 20 years. It has not been possible until recently to fully appreciate the full extent to which the foundation of this conviction has disintegrated. The jury and judges who previously assessed this case did not have the benefit of all of the information we have access to now. It wasn't just him. They tried like three different people. They charged a bunch of people, had to let them all go. They were just desperately trying to convince or to convict a cop killer. And they actually
Jesus.
tried somebody else too, and he was exonerated. Man by the last name of Ford, they actually tried him twice, and he was exonerated and let go finally. And then they came after Johnson. Also, the jury voted 10-2 to impose a death sentence, and apparently in that state, that's okay.
It wasn't unanimous?
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were any states that would give the death penalty if it wasn't unanimous.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yes, Kristi, he's a black man.
Yeah. So we don't know that the court hasn't ruled yet on his petition, but we don't know if he's going to get any help or not. Or, if this is just another state that's going to go ahead and execute somebody who is very likely innocent. So
God,
it really sucks. It's another
that
case
does.
that really sucks. Yeah.
That does. That is terrifying.
So they have all of these witnesses that say he was with us on the other side of town that night. That didn't matter. They have the one woman who says, I picked up the phone with my daughter doing some three-way call, something, something, and I heard him say it, and that was enough to convict.
My God,
And
that's
someone else who
nothing.
said they thought they saw him on that side of town or something along those lines. Like there was no physical evidence whatsoever. It's all so shaky. But
That
hey,
is
somebody got
creepy and shady.
$5,000.
My God.
Yep.
Can you imagine selling your soul for that, lady?
Yep.
I mean, I know it's a lot of money, and I'm sure you probably needed it. And back then it was even more money. But you literally sent a man to death row
Yep.
on a lie. How do they not have a recording of that?
Good question.
How can it just be her word? And how did she know it was him on the fucking phone if she wasn't the one
She
who
said
initiated
his
the phone
name.
call?
He. She heard him say his name. She said someone who said their name was Toforest said that they shot that security guard.
My
That's what
name
she
is
testified
Toforest, and
to.
I shot that security guard. That sounds like a real
Hmm.
normal phone call, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With someone who already knows you?
Yeah.
Why would you do? Oh,
Yeah. Why?
my God. That's hideous.
Hmm.
Well, speaking of old cases getting a new look, uh, the new prosecutor in Los Angeles County, the new district attorney, is speaking out about the Menendez brothers. Now we
Yeah.
know that their hearing for potentially a resentencing has been delayed because Nathan Hochman is the new DA
Yeah.
in LA County, and they wanted to give him time to go over this. Here are some things that he said on Dateline, because should you be speaking about this publicly right now, dude? He said, it's a bit simplistic to say that society back in the 90s didn't recognize sexual abuse of young boys or men. I think it did. I think there's plenty of cases that this office and offices across the state were bringing to the courts. Well, dude, they did in the first trial, and then because it was hung, they didn't in the second. So I'm not sure why that is relevant,
Yeah.
really. Um, he criticized Mark Gregos, who is the post-conviction attorney for the Menendez brothers. He says that he has been very happy to repeat that mantra, and the media has repeated Mr. Gallegos' mantra. I mean, we know it was left out of the trial, dude.
Right.
What I'm saying is that whether or not the mantra is actually true is that no one's actually looked, that I'm aware, to see what types of cases in the volume of cases that were brought where the victims were young boys or young men. They make it seem like it never happened. I know for a fact it did. Okay, jackass, we all know for a fact it did. What are you talking about? This is not
And
new
why does that
information.
matter? Why does
And
that
why
matter?
does it matter?
We're talking
Yeah,
about this case and about the injustices that this case suffered. So why does that matter? I was a
right.
little afraid of this, that they'd get a new DA in there that decided to die on this hill.
I know, me too. Well, especially because listen to this. Probably, if I had to guess, close to 40 hours of testimony where he, talking about Eric Menendez, went into great detail as he did in the first trial. Incident by incident between the ages, I think, of about 6 to 18, what his father had done to him. So when the second So the notion, again, the mantra that sexual abuse wasn't explored in the second trial, that the judge kept out all of the evidence, actually isn't true. They were not allowed to use it as a mitigating factor. We all know that. He says, I've been doing this for 34 years. I've seen it. He said, the media is in search of simple narratives, conflicting narratives, and so it adopted the Gallegos narrative. Bullshit, dude. Come on. So, yeah, he's not for this.
Yeah.
He said we're looking through the testimony as opposed to the highlights of the testimony. Um, he says we're going to go through all that evidence and weigh all the facts and ultimately come to the judge and say to the judge, here's all the records, here are your options, and make sure that whatever decision is ultimately made is the best informed decision possible. Well, no shit, but I'm not sure you have the best decision here. The hearing for potential resentencing is scheduled for January 30th.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think it's pretty flippant.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
pretty flippant, and that's concerning to me.
Hmm. Yeah.
So we shall see. Oh, I didn't know. Donna Shabusiness has been attacking prison staff, huh? Taylor Shabusiness has been acting up in prison. I did not know.
I just
Am I
can't believe this
surprised?
news.
No, I am
Yeah.
not.
This is exactly what we thought she would do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it surely is. Katie, you got a little story for us about a man on a cruise ship.
Oh, good Lord, you guys. Oh my God. You know, this is one thing that scares me a little bit about going on a cruise. That you're stuck on that boat with people, and that's always a concern.
Well,
So,
yeah, because you don't know who you're on the boat with.
right. So, this just happened on Royal Caribbean on Friday last week, on Friday the 13th. A man named Michael Virgil totally flipped out on this boat and on this ship, and he was physically attacking crew members. Apparently, he was in a drunken rage, threatening other passengers, threatening to kill people, screaming racial slurs at people, chasing uh, a member of the crew and a guest down a hallway and threatening to kill them. Like, he was getting really wild. There's a video of him that somebody took of him kicking down a door in a hallway inside the ship, screaming that I'm going to knock you the fuck out, as members of
Yikes.
security are trying to get a hold of him. And so they do get a hold of him and they detain him with pepper spray, towels, handcuffs, and zip ties. And his family claims they gave him a sedative. He died an hour later in their custody.
Oh my God. Oh,
Hmm.
oh
Yeah,
shit. That's not good.
no. So the cause of death is obviously under investigation now. So we don't know exactly what he died from, but we do know that he went bananas on that ship and was threatening to kill people.
But
So
why did that
it's
happen to begin with? Like, what the hell was going on with that dude?
right. Sedatives and alcohol are a bad combo. And we don't know that they did give him sedatives. His family's saying they did, but we don't know that. So I'll watch and see. I'm hoping that we'll see a cause of death for that one. I can't even imagine. Can you imagine being his family? I mean, he was
No,
with his
that's
family on this
awful.
trip.
And so he likely wasn't usually like this.
Yeah, I guess.
What the
He was with
hell?
his fiance and his 7-year-old son and some other family members.
Oh, that's so awful. How sad.
Right? So horrific for all of
The
them.
hell went wrong with him?
I
Something
can't
did
even
big time.
imagine. The family said this was uncharacteristic of him, that this was shocking behavior to everyone. Of course, their family member said he didn't deserve to die over it. And of course he didn't. Of course he didn't.
Oh,
But wow, that's scary and wild. So, at any rate, that happened. It just happened. So, we don't have enough
wow.
information to know exactly what happened yet, but I thought that was the case that was worth mentioning.
Damn. Well, all the love to his family. That has got to have been extremely traumatizing.
Oh, can you imagine? Yeah.
No, I certainly can't.
Hmm.
I definitely cannot. But yes, I have a lot of reasons why I'm kind of afraid to go on a cruise ship, and
I
that's
know.
I've just added to the list.
Yeah.
I have an immune
And
system disease that, like, if a real bad virus or something went through, it could kill me. And
yeah.
I just don't know that that's the way I want to go.
And it happens because of all the shared air. Remember
Right?
those ships that were getting COVID back in the day and
Yeah.
they couldn't come to port? And oh my God, that sounds like a nightmare.
Yes.
Or other
Horrible.
ships that have all gotten like, a horrible stomach flu and stuff like that. Oh,
I know. That scares the hell out of me.
sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah. Victoria says cruises are too people-y for me. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And so many people that are just there to just party and get drunk. And you know what? More power to you, whatever. But that's when things start going awry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Irene said,
right.
oh,
Oh, go ahead.
after hearing that about that cruise, the cruises that were stranded and all the backed up sewage, yes. Ugh.
Oh, yes. Oh, God.
One Christine said I was on a cruise and the kid in the room across from us went crazy. He broke glass and had stitches put in.
Ooh,
Some people like maybe just don't tolerate cruises well. I don't know.
maybe.
Right, floating norovirus containers. That's all I can think of is
Hmm.
yeah, that.
Oh, wow. They
Oof.
had security guards outside the room until we could get back to port. Holy cow.
Holy cow.
Yikes.
Yoy. Hmm. Yeah, can check
No,
that
thank
off my
you.
list of things I've already decided not to do.
I think so.
Well, in our continued and just rather long and sadly repetitive segment of Utah is not okay,
Oh, boy.
there has been a very terrible incident in West Valley City, Utah, which is a
Yeah.
suburb of Salt Lake City. It's actually, we stayed in West Valley City last summer when we took the kids down for a Noah Kahan concert.
Hmm.
And what happened is that yesterday somebody didn't show up for work that was supposed to show up for work. And so a family member went to the house to check on this family. And what they discovered is that five people were deceased and one 17-year-old kid was injured and still alive in the house. So six people shot, five of them
Unreal.
dead. So 42-year-old male, 38-year-old female, 11-year-old boy, 9-year-old girl, 2-year-old girl, and then the 17-year-old who was seriously injured but still alive. Um, so people had been worried about these folks and had actually called the police on Monday
Yeah.
to say that something's wrong. Can't find these people. People had been
Not
missing.
responding. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then police actually went to the house and knocked on the door, and no one answered. And they looked inside the windows, and they didn't see any concern, and so they left.
This
This was
haunts me.
on, yes, this
This
was on
fucking
Monday,
haunts
December
me.
16th. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then on Tuesday, when somebody still didn't show up for work, a concerned family member went, they entered through the garage, and that is when they found the 17-year-old. How long had that poor kid been suffering, still
Yeah.
alive?
Yeah.
So, of course, she called 911. Police came. The 17-year-old was transported to the hospital.
Yeah.
Uh, as far as I can tell, he is alive.
He was gravely, gravely injured. But yeah,
Yes, but
hopefully he's
not
still
really able
alive.
to communicate.
Yeah. But yeah, how long did he lay there and bleed out? The police
Yeah,
were at the house.
yeah.
You can't tell me they weren't already gone or already shot. It had to have already
I
happened.
would imagine
And
it
there were
had.
injured.
Yeah,
And also, were there other people that were still alive in the house at that time? Like,
right.
this
I
haunts
don't
me.
know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I imagine it haunts everyone involved with it.
I'm sure it does.
Um, Now, this article says that uh, their cause of death is not known yet, but I've read in other places that they all had gunshot wounds.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, what is being stated now is that they believe that the 42-year-old male, the father, shot everyone in the home and then himself.
yep,
They said that they don't have any reason to believe that there's anyone um, at risk, that there's anyone at large, or anything like that.
hmm,
Um, I I don't know why this keeps happening and why this keeps happening in Utah.
yeah.
And I'm not saying it doesn't happen in other places, but Utah has had a real rash of it in the last couple of years,
Oh my God, so
and
many.
it is so awful.
Hmm. Yep.
Oh, Melissa says that's interesting. West Valley is not a good area. We almost got carjacked a couple times in West Valley. That's interesting
Wow.
because it's just a very residential place. Um, just terrifying and so incredibly sad for everyone involved and for that poor kid that has so far survived. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
God. So, we'll keep an eye on this one. We're not going to say the names of the family because there's a living victim. We're not going to say that.
Yeah.
But incredibly sad and very scary. Right,
Yeah.
Paula? Utah, where murder is forgivable, divorce is not. I mean,
Yeah.
how many of these things have we seen?
It just keeps happening. It's
Yeah,
just impossible to get my head around.
it genuinely is. Um, I
But yes, yet again, Utah is not okay. My God.
no, no, we are seeing some really terrible things coming out of Utah right now.
Hmm.
So
I
we
did
will
find the
keep an eye on
Shabusiness.
that.
I did
Oh,
find the Shabusiness
please
business.
regale us with Taylor's business's bullshit.
All right. So the charge is battery by a prisoner as a repeat offender, which is a felony. She's in for life, so I doubt she really cares. But you know, Shabusiness, as you know, is show crazy. So here's what
Yeah,
happened. On July 24th, she requested access for care for a staple in her arm. Don't know why she had a staple in her arm, but she did. So
probably
she was
dead
taken,
herself.
yeah, she was taken to a medical room. A nurse grabbed tweezers to remove the staple, and when the tweezers made contact with the staple, Shabusiness grabbed her arm and pushed the nurse out of the way. The sergeant attempted to control Shabusiness, who then swung a small metal table at the sergeant. A struggle took place between Shabusiness and the sergeant before the sergeant pepper sprayed Shabusiness. The sergeant said her head was hit but not concussed, her ribs were bruised, and her arm was injured.
Jeez.
So, yeah, she's actually facing new charges on that one. Yeah,
Well, it's not like that's going to get any better.
no, no, no. I
Wow.
can't imagine having to be involved with the team that incarcerates Taylor's for business because she is frightening.
She is terrifying. What she did, the murder that she committed, is absolutely hideous.
Hmm.
Amy, she business as usual. I know the jokes write
Yep.
themselves since she changed her name to that legally on purpose.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wonder what Shabao thinks of this.
Yeah. I wonder if Shabao knows.
He's very disappointed, Shabusiness. He's very disappointed.
Oh, I'm sure Shabao is up to all of his own bullshit. I'm
I'm
thinking as
sure he
well.
is. Oh my
He spoke,
God.
his, what did he call it? His realm, his kingdom,
Oh, yeah.
or something
Something like that.
in relation to his family, his marriage to Shabusiness.
Uh
I
huh.
don't know, man. I don't know.
I guess she's just
Melissa,
standing on Shabusiness.
she's standing on Shabusiness as usual.
Mm hmm.
Melissa said in reference to the deaths in West Valley City, combination of religious extremism plus pressure to be absolutely perfect at all times in all areas of life. Yes.
Likely.
As
Yep.
we know only too well, that is exactly what the expectations are for Mormon families.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She attacked her attorney as well when she was going, when she
Shabusiness,
was,
yeah,
yeah, before she
cut
was
her out.
convicted. Yeah. Also
She
had to
did.
wear those underpants things on her face for
Spit hood.
sentencing. She actually
Yeah,
had to be, during her trial, she had to be restrained at a table apart from her attorneys because nobody could sit near her. Yeah,
yeah,
she attacked a psychologist as well. Yeah,
yeah.
she's scary as hell.
She is just scary. Very.
Hmm.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, that's what we have for you tonight.
Yeah.
We will be back in about 15 minutes with the watch party. I have sent out the link.
Hmm.
So if you are a member of the Buy Me a Coffee, you will have received that in your email. I'll send
Hmm.
it out one more time before the show starts. But Katie, tell us one more time what are we watching?
So we are watching Crime Scene: The Times Square Killer, episode 1. And that episode is called Murder on 42nd Street.
Okay. All right.
And of course
So
that's on
we
Netflix.
Yes, so we will meet you over in that live if you are a member of that little subscription. Thank you all so much. We appreciate you very much. Thanks so much for all of you who have ordered songs. We've had so much fun. I think we just have a couple left to finish up. We're getting
Yeah.
almost to the bottom of it, although you
Mhm.
could still order if you want to. We're having a great
Mhm.
time with it.
Oh, yeah, it's not too late by any stretch. Yeah.
No, it isn't. And we appreciate you all very much. So,
Mhm.
you know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.